Hey guys, welcome. So today I want to talk to you about where I think the best investment will be in the next 10 years, where returns will be out of this world. Wow, that first sentence sounded like I was trying to sell you something, but don't worry, I'm not trying to sell you anything. Well, to be honest, I'm going to try to sell you on an idea for you to judge yourself. So as an investor, I am always looking out for that asymmetric opportunity where risks are low and rewards are relatively high. And to tell you the truth, there really isn't that much out there in all these asset classes except one. Real estate is kind of played out. I mean, it's hard to buy an expensive piece of property when rents have not even caught up. I mean, look how housing is skyrocketing in the most attractive cities. The stock market is at the highest valuations we've ever seen, with the Dow at 34K. Low interest rates and the massive printing of money seems to be the culprit of all these escalating prices. So what is a good investment out there when everything seems to be higher risk and mediocre reward? Right now, I think the best investment out there is Bitcoin, even at today's prices. In the last 7 months, I went deep into the rabbit hole of Bitcoin and the whole digital currency space. And what I found was so compelling that I felt like it was possibly investing in Apple or Amazon in the beginning. Currently, the whole digital space, including Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies, is valued a little over $1 trillion. That market cap is very small if you consider the grand scheme of things. I mean, Apple right now is worth alone $2 trillion. So we're truly at the beginning of this evolution. Now remember, before you scoff and say definitely not, hear me out. I truly believe that Bitcoin and the whole digital crypto space is going to explode in the next 5 years. It has all the makings of one of the best opportunities and investments in your lifetime. So if you want to know why, keep on watching. And please do me a favor, hit that like button so you can help me out with the YouTube algorithm. So there's a lot of talk out there in mainstream media that Bitcoin is one big Ponzi scheme and that it's some useless internet money that's in a bubble. But what I discovered is that Bitcoin is not some digital coin. It's also a modern payment system, a network that solves a major problem. You might be asking, what's the intrinsic value that it brings? The simplest way I can describe Bitcoin and its value is to compare regular mail versus email. If you can remember a life without email, it took 3 to 7 days to actually mail a letter and then finally for it to arrive in its final destination. Now with the advent of email, you're one click away by sending a message to someone across the world at the speed of light and finally arriving in their email box a minute later. Well, think of Bitcoin and the Bitcoin network in the same way, but the only difference is that you're sending money. With Bitcoin and its network, you're one click away from sending money anywhere in the world, arriving in that person's account in minutes, if not less, as final settlement. That's the important distinction, final settlement. You can do away with wire transfers, going to the bank. That takes 24 hours just to get there overnight. It's just a slow system. And in regards to ACH payments, well, sure, the money can get there very quickly, but it's not final settlement. It is the future payment of society, and you want to own a piece of it. What both email and Bitcoin have in common is that it reduces friction in sending either information or money. Pumping the brakes, you can't get all Pollyanna about it without acknowledging the skepticism in the space. Obviously, as an investor, you have to weigh the risks and rewards. One should acknowledge those that see the value in Bitcoin and those that don't. For those completely against the value proposition of Bitcoin, look no further than Nouriel Roubini, calling it the mother of all scams. And then there's the popular Peter Schiff, constantly calling it to go to zero and calling it one big Ponzi scheme. They certainly have their very strong opinions, which you can't ignore. As a rational person, and I like to think that I am, let's take a look at the evidence and what is truly happening in this space. If you were to look at the big picture, our country is at a turning point of unprecedented proportions. In the last 2 years, we printed a boatload of money out of thin air, and will probably continue to do so in the future. We are diluting our hard-earned dollars to the point of oblivion, making many people fearful of higher and higher inflation. If you guys don't understand inflation, check out my Inflation 101 video up there after this so you guys can protect yourself. So debasement and inflation is why so many people are buying Bitcoin as a store of value these days. Bitcoin will only produce 21 million coins in its entirety. It is that safe haven, scarce asset that everybody is looking for these days. To understand this better, I encourage all of you to view Real Vision's Raoul Pal's 2 videos. The first one is called the Bitcoin Life Raft, where he discusses our current issues and the massive opportunity ahead of us. And then there's the Exponential Age, where he expounds on the digital currency space and how that is going to revolutionize society. I assure you, you will be blown away about the possibilities. The future is being created before our very eyes. The Bitcoin adoption rate by people and corporations has been mesmerizing. The unprecedented news announcements only started a few months back, starting with Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, where it was the first public company to buy Bitcoin for its balance sheet to the tune of $250 million. And since then, I believe he's bought over $1 billion more. Square and PayPal were next, where they onboarded all their customers with the ability to buy Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which is another powerful signal of adoption and change. And recently, we just saw Elon Musk purchase $1.5 billion of Bitcoin for Tesla. In fact, recently, NYDIG reported that 46 million people in the US now own some Bitcoin. We have seen an ever-growing number of people coming into the space that even big companies cannot even ignore the digital asset anymore. In fact, the adoption of Bitcoin and its network is growing at a faster rate than the adoption of the internet a few years back, if you take a look at this chart. And it's happening before our very eyes. Next, Stanley Druckenmiller, Paul Tudor Jones, and Ray Dalio, the best investors in the world, are now convinced of this new asset class. And just recently, Carl Icahn, another astute investor, stated that he wants to get into crypto in a big way. I take all these examples as data points and ask myself, what do the most successful and richest people in the world know that makes them comfortable in buying this new asset class? If you want to see more evidence, Harvard, Brown, and Yale, and other universities have been purchasing Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies with their endowments. Also, in an amazing game-changing historical move, El Salvador is the first sovereign country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. Make no mistake, this is huge. With all this news, I keep asking myself if this is one big nothing burger, or could we be on the cusp of something greater? However, still today, there's still a lot of back and forths and people discussing about the viability of this new asset. I want to show you a before and after of what these major corporations have said and what they are saying and doing now. Here, I want to acknowledge the Twitter handle documenting Bitcoin for his or her tireless efforts on updating everybody in the space. Take a look at these before and after headlines. If you look left to right, it says BlackRock CEO Larry Fink calls Bitcoin an index of money laundering. To now, BlackRock fund bought Bitcoin futures in January. Morgan Stanley said Bitcoin's value could be zero. To now being the first bank allowing its wealthy clients access to Bitcoin funds. Or how about Bitcoin is a fraud that will blow up per its CEO? To now, JP Morgan says investors could make Bitcoin 1% of its portfolio. Is there a narrative shift? I would say so. The list goes on with the before and afters, with Goldman Sachs, PayPal, and Visa, and even more companies accepting this new asset class. Add to the fire that more and more companies are accepting it as payment, with the likes of Sotheby's, Sheetz, PayPal, and then Whole Foods. But if you think these companies are one-offs, Sitcon and Flexa are making Bitcoin payments possible to 6,000 companies, which include L'Oreal, Nordstrom, MGM Resorts, and more. Now, after all this evidence of acceptance and adoption, it seems that all the naysayers and their opinions are on a little bit of a shaky ground. Per Raoul Pal, we are on the cusp of a digital revolution. And as an investor, it is your duty to research this for yourself to see if it's viable or not for you. We also see a multitude of Bitcoin ETFs waiting for approval. This is all coming down the pipeline, as most people in the space seem to think that this is inevitable. Canada has already approved 3 Bitcoin ETFs in their country. Bitcoin as a store of value against massive money printing, and with the possibility of the future payment system, is not only being adopted by us, but the world as well. Decide and research for yourself, and this is not financial advice. But the narrative before was that it was too risky to own Bitcoin, and that was very true. But now it has changed. Given our massive and continued money printing, it really is too risky not to own any Bitcoin now. And guys, I just want to say that everything I've mentioned in the last few minutes of this video is just a drop in the bucket of all the positive aspects that's happened in this space in the last year and a half or so. If you like this video, please check out my other videos on personal finance, passive income, investing, and real estate wealth. I hope I gave you guys something to chew on. And again, do your own research. But what I found that investing in Bitcoin could be one of the greatest trades and investments for years to come. I wish you well, and I always believe better finance, better life. See you on the next one.